Okay, so after last session where we saw Aether's fight with a unarmed slash unarmored fight with a lion, which you won, you were leaving the Quivering Thumb after being offered kind of a more semi-permanent position at the arena, and you kind of overheard some chatter on the streets about a horse that had somehow found itself in the River Thun and had been dredged up by some of the locals to kind of get rid of the smell, get rid of that kind of thing. And yeah, you don't know for a fact, but you assume based on loose description that it is your horse, Aether Seasalt. So we pick up there in the bustling city streets of Westgate. You kind of just finishing this like conversation with these two common folk who are chatting about it anyway. What would you like to do?
I'm assuming I'm away from these two, aren't I?
Yeah, I'd say you probably got some distance.
I'll walk back to them, and I'll go. Well, I know what we're spending the money on that we just made.
Gonna spend 20,000 gold on a horse.
Gonna have to get a new horse. Gonna need a new one.
I'll give my condolences, and then out of curiosity, are we in the streets near the Colosseum, or are we further along towards like the market area?
I'd say you're probably in like still in the shadow, or maybe just leaving the shadow of the Colosseum.
Yeah, so I'll give my condolences and I'll go. Well, I guess we still need to go find your Bloodhawk and Jade. The only two left now, and I need to go to the marketplace if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. Why not? I'm good with that.
Cool. Yeah. So, are you all heading to the marketplace?
Yeah.
Yep. Verbal would be better for me, just because there's a bit of a delay on the video for me. So yeah. So you guys head towards the market in the city centre. What were you looking for somewhere? It's a bit later in the day now, so some of the stores are still open, some of them are closed, some of them are packed up.
So I'm gonna go into the bag of holding, and I'm gonna grab. I remember you describing Damon's overarching satchel, which came, what I believe, over one shoulder and under the opposite arm, and it had spots for the scrolls to go in, didn't it, for his counter spells?
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab that out, and then I want to take it to someone who I believe could like. What I want to do is on the back part of it, get something where I can like sheath my staff of lightning, and get like something custom built onto that, so it's multi-purpose. And then also, I want to buy a normal belt one, like I presume Ufa has like a normal belt one for his sword, which I want to be able to have a book clip on my right, and also a pouch and a clip for my slingshot on my left side.
Cool. Okay. You're probably more looking for, instead of someone at the market, you're probably looking for like a tanner or a leather worker. You think probably the best person to talk to, if not maybe be able to do the job, might be Aurora, just based on kind of passing what you've experienced. Probably especially so since especially by the time you get to the market, it's probably quite late in the day. So even if there might have been a tanner hanging around, he's probably packed up and went home.
Is there any? Do I see any shops open which sell like some, just like general loose and like not distinguishably having to be poor, but just kind of like cheap, but just like loose like clothing?
Sure, there's probably like a cheap secondhand tailor still hanging around, or maybe packing up.
Can I want to see if they have like a pair of like just a pair of like normal shorts, which like go down to about your knees and stuff, and like baggy, so like they don't restrict movement in any way.
Yeah, cool. You can probably find something that's more like It's more meant to be worn. If you imagine something kind of like Tudor or Edwardian, with like long socks, but you don't necessarily have to, they don't have, you don't get the socks with them, so you can like alter them to just wear them as kind of these more loose, baggy, short pants.
And then how much is that?
Probably not very expensive. We'll say like one gold piece.
Yeah, if I swipe that off. And I'll grab them, and then I'm gonna put, like, for now I'll just keep all that in the bag of holding still.
Cool. Yeah. Just while this is happening, actually, Eartha, this is kind of retroactive. It's just something I thought about between sessions. You had expressed to Caitlin when you'd spoken to her using sending that, worry about, you kind of said if you came into contact or if you came into ownership of another key, you would hand off the one you already had. You didn't want to risk keeping them in the same way. Make an intelligence check with advantage because of where you're from. 16. So when you left home, this is maybe something, because it's so, just to kind of like fill in the gap of why, if I didn't know this last session or the session before, it's probably something you're so used to knowing. It's just information about the place you come from, Chicenta, that you didn't view it as applicable at the time. But there is over the last few years, there has been this anomaly in Chicenta, this being in the middle of this desolate wasteland in the middle of Chicenta, kind of known locally as Entropy, which is kind of just like a black hole. He's also referred to as, the land around it is referred to as the Maw of the God Swallower, and it's kind of, actually make a religion check, just a flat one.
And what would you say was the more the god is, did you say?
Maw of the God Swallower.
More of the god swallower. Religion. 16.
16. You know that Entropy is a being known as a primordial. So kind of in ancient or before history, before time began, the gods and the primordials were kind of equals, but they fought time and time again, and so the kind of this cosmic decision was made that split the gods in to rule over the reality you live in, and the primordials to rule over an alternate reality, and in that kind of split, some of the gods got stranded with the primordials in this alternate reality, and some of the primordials got stranded here in your reality, where the gods rule. So in terms of this universe, primordial is kind of equal to God, but this alternate, they're kind of alternates to the gods that rule in this, or they have sway in this alternate reality. And Entropy is one of these stranded primordials that didn't get taken or got forgotten and left behind, and he's called the Maw of the God Swallower, or the desolate landscape around where Entropy, this black hole, exists, is called the Maw of the God Swallower, because even if a god were to approach Entropy, it would be destroyed. And so, a surefire way to destroy the key, you think, would be to simply chuck it into this universal trash compactor.
Huh.
So essentially, imagine Entropy as a black hole. You've probably never seen it yourself. People very rarely approach this thing. It's kind of in the middle of the Chicentan wilderness. People don't approach, but the landscape around it is kind of purple and dead and twisted. And it's kind of growing. Every day it grows a bit more, but nobody knows how to deal with it. So since it hasn't, it's not too big yet, so it hasn't become a massive concern, but it is a concern, and it's something you're familiar with as a citizen of Chicenta. But yeah, you know the legends and the rumors that anything, even something as powerful as a god, if it were to come into contact with entropy, it is destroyed. And so, you know, the lead box you've bought for now, that's hiding the key, and that's good for now. But if you wanted to do permanent destruction without having to follow the steps that are described in the destroying the key section of the item, you think that might be a possible alternative. You're not 100% sure, but the thought occurs to you. Kind of just probably while you're watching Samurai do kind of go about his business, you kind of have that idle thought, maybe when you're thinking about home, something like that.
Alright, that's good. Useful information.
Cool. So what would you guys like to do?
We know where, because Aurora closed her shop for the day, didn't she?
Yeah.
So do we have any clue of where she'll have went?
Not currently.
Right. Anyone got a sending spell?
No.
Right.
Were we told to meet us somewhere once we're finished?
I don't believe so.
Well, do we want to just have a wander and see if we can come across either Jade or Newt?
Yeah.
And then we'll just head back to the shop and see if they came back.
Well, if we should we walk towards Aurora's shop just in case they're just nearby and we see them, and we'll keep a lookout while we're going there, and then we'll decide from there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Then we'll do that.
Cool. Yeah. So, you guys, you're at the market. So Aurora's shop is basically at the market. It's kind of equidistant as if you remember where you'd met the whiskey lady in Baldur's Gate in that kind of open pavilion. That was kind of directly looking at the market in Baldur's Gate. It's kind of like the same situation. Like the front of Aurora's Emporium pretty much looks over the market. So very quickly you can head over there. Could you all make a perception check?
By using my eyes.
Camera at sight, yeah.
11 on sight.
11 for Samurai. Anya?
21.
21. And Eartha?
37.
37.
37. I've got a plus 19, it's great.
Then Samurai, you're kind of your first instinct is to like check the windows, like you kind of go look in the windows, see if anyone's inside. But Eartha and Anya, you kind of, or probably since Eartha got so dramatically higher, Eartha, you notice under the door, you notice like a little bit of kind of this yellowed white corner of parchment sticking out from underneath the door. And as you approach the door, Anya, you also notice it, kind of noticing Eartha approaching the door. And you kneel down and take it out, and it just has written across it the Rosebud Tavern, and kind of sort of some directions on how to get there.
Well, how about heading?
We'll go there. Can I, on the way there, can I put my hand into my satchel and grab the stone? Current Wade. Can I grab Wade?
Sure.
Can I just try and talk to Wade, see if he's up for a chat now, see if he's cool as Steve.
I mean,
so I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go. I said I'd give you a little while since you were a little upset. Well, I never gave you over. I actually made enemy of the guy you thought I was gonna give you over to. The guy actually just sent at least I think it was him. He just sent an assassin on me.
you feel, it's not a stone. You feel, when you have your hand on it, you feel there's more to this than it's just a rock, but you don't hear a response.
Right. Okay, cool.
But you feel that it's heard you.
Oh,
What
rock.
do you guys like to do?
Head towards the.
Yeah, the tavern, I guess.
Sure. Cool. Yeah. So, kind of going to the Rosebud, it's a lot of the same route you walked before, but instead of kind of turning right at one point to go towards this Colosseum, the Quivering Thumb, you kind of turn left and head towards the harbor, along the kind of river bank. You can't really access this river. It's kind of got like steep stone banks on either side, but you walk along the river bank for a time, and you come across the Rosebud, which is this kind of it looks like quite a luxurious, well-to-do tavern, and it has a large ale garden that is kind of on the side of the river, so you can sit there among some of like these kind of low-cut shrubbery on the riverside, and with the weather, seems like a nice option. And you see Lalinor and Hilari. Lalinor being this kind of young-ish brown-haired human, and Hilari being this young-looking but quite old, in truth, blue-skinned, white-haired moon elf, kind of sitting at a table with enough room for you three to also join outside in the ale garden.
Am I still
Yeah,
topless?
yeah, really. You haven't put any clothes on.
You're probably less thinking about that because you're like scratched up by like a lion's claws, so you probably haven't really thought about it. But I imagine they probably like chucked like a blanket or something over you once you got out, so you can have like a shawl or something if you choose, or you could have chosen to have brushed it off.
I feel like I probably just gonna picked up the tattered shirt and just put what was left of that back on.
Yeah, sure. So you've got like a shirt that's like got gashes through it, all hanging off at the front level, like so you can see the matching scars underneath where the gashes are. Yeah. So, what are you guys doing?
I'll go and approach them, sit down, and go. So, have you heard anything about we Urfa heard about his horse, but about Jade, the animated armor, or the Bloodhawk?
Lalinor kind of glances at Hilari, and Hilari kind of nods her on, and Lalinor goes, well, we haven't heard anything about those, but we think we know what the issue with the teleportation circle is. I mean, it's possible one of your pets or friends might have ended up at the disturbance. If you want, she kind of twitches in her seat, kind of moving to allow more people to sit as well. She's like, we could go there tonight. It shouldn't be dangerous. I think it's just we need to right some of the magical discrepancy at the location.
I'll turn to these two and see what they say.
I'd like to get my armor before we go down, and some clothes.
Yeah, they kind of like they nod. Yeah, like they seem like they're not. They've definitely they've noticed, but they're not going to bring it up unless you bring it up, because you look like you fought a lion. So they're not gonna.
I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm just gonna leave it to the imagination.
It's one of those things where it's a super weird thing to see, but it's at that level of like, if you're not gonna bring it up, then I'm not gonna bring it up. So yeah, they'll leave it hanging unless you want to regale them. But they nod. And Lalinor says, "Well, you can. I can give you some other garments, and you can put your armor on. That'll be finished drying, but I'm not sure your clothes will."
The clothes outside.
Yeah, they're back at my apartment. Yeah.
No, I'll be alright. I'll put the soggy clothes on. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Just because. Well. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Just.
Stinky boy.
She stands up and she's like, "I'll be back in half an hour." And she kind of skitters off. So you're sitting there with Hilari. Is there anything else you'd like to Actually, the first thing Polari will do is when this young girl, server, runs past, Polari will kind of ask for a round. And she doesn't ask you what you want, she just kind of asks for another round. And this server comes back five or so minutes later with 4 wine glasses filled with a bold crimson wine. And as they put the glasses down in front of you, it has a very acidic smell, and you assume a matching taste. And kind of, yeah, so she kind of plonks these glasses of wine down in front of you, and Hilary explains, like, this is Westgate Ruby. It's one of the city's major exports.
Can I, as like the waitress is putting them down, like as she places the last one down, obviously I presume we're sat like against a table of some sort.
Yeah, you're in kind of, imagine like a circular outdoor table at a pub.
Message requires me to point at the person I'm messaging, and move my mouth, but it doesn't require me to actually speak aloud.
Does it have a verbal component?
I'll double check, but I'm not sure. I think it. So yeah, it has a verbal component, but no, it also has a materialistic component, so it's not going to work. Never mind.
Okay,
I was just going to mess with I was just going to say behind you to the woman without her being able to see me speak and just really annoy her.
He's a regular old devil.
Instead, can I cast Shape Water on my drink just to lift the water up and down?
Sure, yeah. Actually, Eartha, this doesn't really mean anything. It's just, you probably, when she says like, oh, this is Westgate Ruby, Westgate, like I said to you last session, Westgate is kind of spiritually significant for the Church of the Red Knight, because a lot of the church's kind of knights and clerics have found glory on the Dragon Coast and in Westgate specifically. But also rubies are significant to your faith. If you do something the Red Knight super approves of, you might wake up with a ruby underneath your pillow, like you have some experience with. So, not that it means anything, but you kind of think like it's a fitting drink for the day fighting the lion. Yeah, is there anything you'd like to talk to Hilary about or anything else?
I want to wait for Eartha to go and take a drink. And as he's lifting it up, I want to cast Shape Water, which is only somatic, which is like movements, hand movements, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I want to try and kind of underneath the table, without them being able to see me doing it. And one of the options is you can change the water's color or opacity. This ruby red, as he picks it up, I want it to go to a deep and dark eternal blackness. Just really try and freak him out. Yeah.
Yeah, so as you kind of open your trap and you begin to kind of drink it like it's ale, you kind of as you see as you're kind of staring into the ruby, it kind of churns black like oil and fills, and as it spirals down into your gullet, you can choose what happens with that, but you see it grow dark.
Do I see him do the hand movements or not?
Samurai, make a sleight of hand check, and make a perception check. Right against the
So I got inspiration.
Buddy, it doesn't matter what inspiration you get.
Actually, technically, I'll say you have advantage, Samurai, because I'd assume you'd be doing it under the cover of the table.
Well, unless I get a nat 20, I'm not beating his plus 19. And I got 2 sixes, which is a 10 in total.
Well, buddy, I rolled a 10, I got 29.
So, yeah. Eartha, you can choose whether you kind of play along with it or you immediately stare at him, but you notice his hand movements matching the blackening of your wine.
No, I'm just going to keep drinking as if I don't notice it.
Cool, yeah. And in a few moments,
I'll stop and kind of go in a bit of a mood at the table like a child.
Yeah, so you kind of, probably just engage, unless there's anything specific you want to ask Hilary about, you can just assume you engage in light small talk. Maybe you go into your day. Yeah, somewhere.
When we told her about the dragon back in Candlekeep, I remember I rolled quite well, and we made it this big story, and she was really interested in it. Can I try and do it again, but with this fist fight, unarmored lying attempt?
Sure. Yeah. Make a performance check.
It's not my night.
That's
What's
it.
it, 8 in total?
8 in total. By the end of the story, you kind of embellish some of the wrong bits and kind of just accidentally make it sound like Eartha cheated. And so she's like, very cool. She's like kind of unimpressed. You kind of focus on some of the spells. You may like accidentally at some point, and you go like, but that wouldn't have happened if Anya hadn't cast enhanced ability. And like you accidentally focus on the spells just because that's where your mind goes, being a magic user, and kind of made it sound like it's not that impressive because he had that magical advantage.
I mean, we only had that spell. Oh no, we had my Shield of Faith.
So if you kind of listen to him butcher this story, you can choose whether you jump in or whether you leave it.
I'm just gonna look at Hilary and pull a face. Like, do you know when you pull a face where someone's telling a story and you know it's not true, and you can see that they know it's not true, but you're pulling like a face where it's like, this didn't happen, but I don't want to say it didn't happen because he's enjoying the moment.
Is that a deception check by him? Because he's lying, because it did happen.
I'll say it's a persuasion check. Oh, where's my persuasion at? Oh,
it's your charisma.
Yeah, but I've got it. 19.
19. She rolled a lot lower than that. She kind of returns that like with one solemn. Oh, okay. And yeah, about 25 to 30 minutes later, Lelianor comes kind of skipping down the street again. Except you notice she's quite damp. She looks like she's kind of soaked through. And she's carrying your clothes in kind of a sealed bag. But she looks like her hair is kind of wet and tattered down. And kind of her clothes are kind of wet in places, kind of on the top, and kind of like some of her blouses soaked too.
Can I ask her why she's
kind of
wet?
Comes up to the table. As she comes up to the table, she sticks the bag down and she's like, Hilary, if you could just finish drying them off with some of your magic. And Hilary kind of empties the bag and begins using some spellcraft on your clothes to dry them out. And Lelianor goes, what?
Why are you wet?
No, it was raining. It hasn't rained.
What? Alright. How many people are around us?
It's quite quiet tonight. You get the sense, especially after a big match at the arena, most people are probably in the more seedier establishments, kind of looking for a brawl or looking for a cheap drink. And since this is kind of a high-end establishment, maybe about two or three other people in the beer garden, but they're not the ale garden. They're not necessarily close to you. They're maybe like 20 feet away.
So theoretically, if I was to draw Flame Tongue and set it alight, I could dry her off.
Yeah.
And not get arrested.
Sure. Let's try it.
Okay. I'm going to start by saying, don't freak out. I'm not going to cut you. I'm going to like...
That's a very unnerving sentence to hear as a young woman, so she does not... She doesn't like fight you on it, but she just kind of like shrinks up, kind of like turtles a bit, like her head kind of creaks back. And as you draw your sword and you kind of, whisper ash, and it lights up along the blade. You kind of hold it out and kind of, when you're in an airport and they have like the metal detector that they kind of run all over you. you kind of do that slowly, kind of trace it around her, especially her like head and shoulders, and within a few moments, her kind of hair kind of poofs out a bit, and she kind of, with her fingers, kind of pulls it down, kind of combing it with her fingers as best she can, and kind of wringing out the ends. And she's like, thank you. And she kind of pats off her shoulders. Appreciate it.
Just gonna do that till she dries off.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to do, Samara?
I'll just sit back, while they're all doing that, I'll just quietly sit back and I'm just gonna quickly look through my familiar's eyes.
Cool.
They're in the box, I'm just checking if the key's still there.
Yep, you see kind of a soft material inside, and a key sitting in the dark.
Cool. Yeah, and then I'll just go back to my normal self.
Cool. Anything else?
Sorry. Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's it.
I would like to know more about the problem with the circle.
Cool. Go for it.
So this place, how far have we got to go to get to the problem?
She's kind of like, at this point, she's probably still squeezing some of the odd ends out of her hair, of patches of water, and combing her hair a bit. Well, we figured out it's in the kind of the middle north end of the city, or the northern part of the middle part of the city. It's an old inn called Blaze House. It's Blais. So it's a funny spelling, Blaze House.
Which district is that in?
I don't have the map in front of me, but it's not far away north of Aurora's and the market.
Right, okay.
It used to be an inn anyway. It's been abandoned for 100 years, give or take. But it catered to extra planar travelers, people from other worlds, other planes, who were stopping in. And I think some of the old portals there are waking up, or someone's done something to them, and their old magic, pre-spell plague magic, isn't working with our teleportation circles, and it's throwing the whole system off. I mean, there are ways around it, and she shows you a pendant she's wearing, and she says, "This lets anyone. I can operate the teleportation circles. I'm not a spellcaster, but with this, I can operate the teleportation circles to one of the connected ones without any issue. But anyone outside of the network trying to use it, it doesn't work." And Hilari, using her Oniromancy, has figured out that the issue is coming from Blaze House.
Right, not a problem.
Blaze House it is.
You guys ready? Anything else you want to do?
I'm gonna quickly...
Would you like to equip yourself?
Yeah, and I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds on myself as well, just to be safe.
Cool. Yeah. So while you're kind of sitting at the table as well, you'll take that kind of tattered shirt off and put a new one on, and then, kind of just put your armor on over the clothes while you guys finish up talking or prepare whatever you'd like to. Cool. Is there anything else you want to do, Samara, Anya?
No, I believe I'm okay for now.
Cool. So, kind of with Lelianor and Hilari leading, they lead you similar, like to Aurora's, and then kind of beyond, past the marketplace, pushing northward a bit. Except for Eartha, you guys haven't been up into this kind of part of the city yet, but it's mostly the same. And the streets are kind of starting to quiet down. You see kind of a few rogue, shifty-looking characters in a few back alleys, kind of watching you at times, but the streets are still kind of busy enough where you don't feel threatened, and especially since you have numbers, you don't feel at risk or anything like that. And she kind of leads you into this interior street, almost like a closed-off street, like an avenue or something like that. and kind of at the head, there's kind of this unassuming old building with boarded up windows and a boarded up door. And yeah, you can't see any easy entrances without, tearing the boards that are blocking up the door or a window off. So yeah, kind of this 2-story building. All the windows, except for some of the top floor windows, not all of those appear to be boarded up, but they're kind of more difficult to reach, and they still have glass in for the most part, and they're like kind of iron cross sections. But yeah, the downstairs windows and front door are kind of covered with board and nail. What would you guys like to do? Hilari and Lily all kind of just look to you as they kind of just turn to you and like, you're the mercenaries who can, Lily and all can pay you for your effort, so we'll hand it over to you.
Let me just check what the explorer's pack has got.
I'm gonna turn to Urfa, and I'll turn to Urfa, and then you go. I'll quickly go check around, and I'll kind of like fly up just a little bit, not too high. Don't want loads of people fleeing. Just like 10 feet high, just so I've got some leverage. Fly around the building, just check all the windows on the ground floor, see if any of them are easy access, or if there's any doors which are more easy access than others. Some with more nails or less nails, or some in like better hiding spots which are less likely for us to be seen going in.
Cool. Make a perception check with advantage.
Some bad rolls. It's double 8, which is... Am I using sight?
Yeah.
That's 14.
Cool. Yeah, you do 1 or 2 laps of the exterior of this old 2-story building, Blaze House. You see, the most detail you get is preventing the detail. You see a lot of the windows that aren't boarded up, you can see they are very densely kind of cobwebbed over, and they're kind of alabaster anyway, not great for looking through, but you can see they're kind of obscured by cobweb and age anyway. And yeah, you don't really find much detail. You don't see a back door or anything like that. You just see the one boarded up entrance, and yeah, like I said, few unboarded up windows on the second floor, but not necessarily easier access.
I'll go back around to these two, and I'll go. There's a couple which aren't exactly boarded, but instead cobwebbed. I could use control flames with a torch to keep the fire low, but at the same time burn away the cobwebs to allow us to get through, or you could try and cut them. It depends how dense they really are. After that, I could alarm the window. I can set it so that only I can hear it. If anybody enters, apart from you guys, I'll know immediately.
What if people are already in it though?
Well, that's not the problem I'm solving right now.
I mean, we could just brute force it through the front door.
Well, I didn't want the locals to call the guards on us.
Did I not? Did I buy a grappling hook? I don't remember. I feel like I might have.
Where were words?
Yeah. No, I did not buy a grappling hook. I think that was on my list of things to get, and I completely forgot about it.
Oh, I'm gonna go invisible, by the way. We're in dim light and darkness, aren't we? It's like late.
Sure, yeah. The sun's kind of going down, so we'll say it's dim-ish, and you can this black shadow roils over you like a flame, and you disappear.
Yeah. I'll say afterwards. Still here. Don't worry. I'll stay out your way. Don't worry about me.
What would you guys like to do?
Wait, let's see if Urfa has his grappling plan.
Well, Hilari and Lelienor will say, like, Lelienor will go, we can keep watch if you want to try and go through the front door. We can try and see if anyone's watching, or if anyone tries to call the guards, we can explain. I don't know.
How loose are the boards in the front? Can I go up and inspect how loose they are?
Sure. Make an investigation check.
Can I also ask just quickly? I just presume I won't need a roll for this. Is the house wooden or is the house stone? I'm presuming it's stone.
Yeah, it's like it's not like a village building. It's like a city cabin. Yeah, there's
Just making
bits of
sure
wood.
that my fire plan isn't going to like light the house on fire.
I mean, there's elements of wood in the building, but it's stone on wood.
Got 26.
26. You kind of approach the. Were you approaching the front door or the one of the windows? Or?
Front door just to see how loose the boards were.
Sure. Yeah. You approach. You kind of give it a quick look, and the nails appear to be old and quite rusted. And you kind of put a hand on it and give the kind of the closest or the most easy to reach to board a kind of shake. It's kind of down the middle. The nails that are keeping them on are very old and very rusted, but they are also very large nails, so they're kind of like it's doable.
I'm gonna get a torch off and go around back to that cobwebbed window.
Is that not like a floor up though?
Yeah, second floor.
Yeah, that's why I'm going.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm with them.
Me and Chan, don't know if that helps, but
Now, we're not. Oh, you could carry the torch in for him just in case there's a trap set by the window.
Well, I mean, the window is still a window. There's still glass and like an iron cross.
Doesn't matter.
I'm gonna try burning away the cobwebs. I've got. If the flame ever, how big would you say this window is? Like a 5-foot cube?
Probably. Yeah, we'll say for the sake of this. Yeah.
Just because I've got control flames, so if anything starts happening bad, I can instantly distinguish the flames. So I'm going to start.
The glass?
Yeah, I'll kind of try. I'll try and not smash, but instead just like place pressure with my palm like this, kind of like wrap something around whatever like cloth or like rope I have to protect my hand. It kind of like slowly increase my pressure on the glass until like it kind of cracks inwards.
Make a strength check.
That's a 12.
You're not getting much leeway on it. You can choose to, with that, you're not going to break it without damaging yourself, but I'll say if you want, you can choose to smash it and take some damage.
I will.
What level is the silence spell?
I'll smash it and take some damage.
What are you saying, Alice?
What level is the silence spell?
I'm not sure.
But don't you have a free one or something like that?
No.
I think it's level 1. But yeah, I'll take some damage to smash the window.
Four slashing damage as you kind of push your claw or your talon in, and it kind of grates up some of your arm. But kind of as you kind of pull back your claws and kind of just in general kind of pull some of that glass, and it falls down on the inside and on the outside.
I'll start trying to like slowly and I'm going to start at like the highest point possible of the cobweb, because obviously the fire will rise high, like up very quickly. So I'm going to start at the top so that there's nothing more above it, so it can't spread really quickly, and then work down from there just to try and make it safer and not spread as much. And just try and burn these cobwebs away very slowly.
And you're using control flames to just kind of help the management, weren't you?
Yeah, so I can use control flames just to instantly get rid of it, or I can make the light dimmer or brighter, and I can do all sorts of stuff with the flames with that.
Cool. I'll say if you're using a torch and you've got that on deck, I'll say you can clear the window in a minute or two.
Yeah, and then after that I'll just try and I'll get rid of the flame, like, get it off quickly, just throw it in my satchel for quick safekeeping, and try and get myself in the window if I can.
Sure. We'll cut over to Eartha and Anya. So Eartha, what would you like to do?
I would like to ask if anyone has silence. That includes Hilary and Anya. Because I have a stupid idea, but I prefer to be slightly quiet when I do it, because I do have access to it, but I don't have a spell slot available for it because I've used them all.
You're gonna just bash her in the door, aren't you?
Yes, I'm gonna rear my
My plan is
shield,
to just come. My plan is just to come around the other side of the door. And just
but then you still have the wooden boards in the way. With the house.
I got control flames.
2 seconds of just finding
What
this
class is she?
document. I'm trying to remember. Here it is. Well, she's not a class. She's an NPC.
Mm,
What level of science?
second.
No, she does not have science.
I'm debating just taking it and just going for it anyway. Or what does the Ioun stone have?
That's rope trick
Build
and
and
shield.
trick.
Ah, damn. Right. Well then, plan B. I'm gonna take my trident and attempt to pry some of the boards off using the end of the trident as like a crowbar.
Make a strength check.
22.
22. Sure. We'll say within like 2 or 3 minutes you can clear the door. While this is happening, we'll cut a few somewhere. So you're around the back of the building, kind of flying in front of a second floor window where you've managed to get leverage on it and push it in, kind of cutting up your arm a bit. Sure. We'll say you can kind of use the butt of the torch to clear most of the glass, so you're not risking cutting yourself up anymore, and you can kind of pull yourself in. Make a perception check.
Is this sight?
Yeah.
Right, okay. That's a 9.
9. So once you get into the room, it's a fairly small room, maybe 10 foot by 10 foot, with a very old bed that smells disgusting, and not much detail in the room except kind of some cobwebs and some and everything's choked with dust and kind of mold. Yeah. Make another perception check, not reliant on sight.
Not 20.
From not far away, but not close either, you hear just a
Okay.
just kind of a kind of a
Do I
bump.
do I have any theory of my level, floor below type
You
of
think
thing?
it's probably on the same floor as you, but
Okay.
not close.
And what other doors are in this room?
You just see one door. Appears to be a bedroom door.
Okay. I'm gonna use my action to get my familiar into the shadow realm, or whatever you want to call it, the fairy dimension. I can't remember the name of it. It's something like that. And then I'm gonna use my action again to resummon it as a spider. Oh, I can't. No, I've got to keep it as a frog. It takes an hour to do the spider, so I'll keep it as a frog. And I'm just gonna try my hardest to quietly open like just the smallest crevices in this door to try and send my familiar through.
Okay. To be honest, I'd say a frog could just fit under the door without you having to open it.
Okay, right, that's good. And I'll send him under, and I'll look through his eyes.
Yeah, sure. So you take Abba out of the key box, place him on the ground, and kind of with like a slight little push, he kind of pops underneath the door. So you look through his eyes. You're in a dark, quite dark corridor. You can't really make out any details, but it appears to just be bedroom doors going in either direction, and it kind of, so like you're here, it kind of just, the hallway goes down and turns off, kind of, yeah, you just see an either way two turns that go in the same direction. Maybe about, the whole corridor is maybe about 20 foot long, 30 foot.
It's something like, it's either 100 or it's 120 feet, so it doesn't really matter, because I assume this house doesn't have that distance in it.
No.
So I'm just going to keep looking through his eyes, and I'm going to get him to just check the whole floor.
Sure. So kind of going around, you kind of, this second floor, it's imagine like a square hallway with the stairs at one of the corners, and kind of inside the square is kind of a few bedrooms, and the outside of the square has bedrooms. So imagine a square hallway with it's pretty much all just bedrooms. From maybe you check a few, and you see some stairs that descend.
In all of the rooms upstairs I check, is like anything in them, or like any indication of like anything I could have seen which like might be the sound?
Roll a d4.
3.
3. No. But when you're in Abba's form, you do hear a different sound. Less of a bump. It sounds more like a kind of a deeper kind of almost kind of something more guttural, something kind of dusty.
Right. I'm gonna send Abba downstairs then, and to the front door, assuming that's where
Cool. Well, Eartha, by this point, you've probably gotten the last board off and kind of kicked it to the side of the door, and kind of jostling the door handle. It's also locked. Would you like to bash through the door?
Yeah, I'm just gonna spot and kick it.
Cool. Make a strength check.
15.
15. Yeah, it's an old, very old kind of somewhat moldy door. So yeah, one good kick near to the handle and it crashes in, and the door swings open, not kind of hitting the wall, but swings half open and then begins to rest. And yeah, kind of even just the evening light kind of pours in, and you see kind of the first thing you can make out are some kind of round tables completely covered in dust. That's all you can see from the outside.
Can Abba see him? Just because I'm waiting.
This isn't Abba's up there at that point.
Okay, just whenever Abba can see him, I've got something planned.
But it probably took about 5 minutes for you to check that floor.
Yeah.
So probably about 5 minutes from now. So yeah, Anya's probably just behind it.
I was gonna say, I'll turn to Anya and say, "Are you ready?" And then draw my sword and walk in.
Cool. Yeah. Anya, is there anything else you'd like to do? Or are you following? Or
I'll draw my rapier sword just in
Cool.
case.
yeah, so you guys both arm yourselves and kind of push in. Hilari and Leonor kind of backed off a bit, just so they've got a bit of distance. So if anyone kind of approaches, they can kind of try and turn them away or something like that. So you guys go in. Anya and Eartha, can you both make perception checks? With disadvantage, because it's very dark.
That's a bit annoying.
Anya,
10.
10, and Eartha,
Let me do the maths. 23.
20.
Do you know what the worst thing is? I rolled a natural 20, and then you said with disadvantage.
Well, Anya, because Eartha has flame tongue, kind of, have you lit flame tongue up?
I have now.
Cool. Yeah, so as you guys enter the darkness and Eartha says, and the flames roil up the blade, that kind of, you can't see anything because, like, when your eyes haven't adjusted. So Eartha's kind of, because Eartha's in the lead, he kind of gets a better look, but the light kind of drowns it out for you and makes the darkness much darker. But Eartha, you see 5 kind of largish round tables in the center of this tavern. To the left of the door, kind of a long bar with 3 stools. All of this entire place looks kind of frozen. Everything is under 100 years of dust, as far as you can tell. But also, Eartha, you see kind of at the top of this room, in kind of 2 corners, one in each corner, kind of these old archways. They look very elegant, and they're made of like archaic standing stone. Kind of they stand free of the wall. They're just kind of these arches. And you can kind of see a sliver of light coming from one of the archways, probably at this point, we'll say, as you guys have entered, I'll say Abba is at the top of the stairs, or kind of has come halfway down. The stairs kind of go down and then turn to go down. So we'll say Abba's come halfway down and is now able to see Eartha holding the flame tongue sword. And Anya standing behind.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out of my like see-through Abba, and I'll point, because obviously with message I've got to be able to point. Is it actually? I've got to see if this is you point your finger towards a creature within range and you whisper a message. The range is 120 feet, and technically I'll be pointing at him just through a wall. I don't know if you're going to allow it.
You just got to make an intelligence check to see if you can correctly guess where you're pointing.
Just flat intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at least 20.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's 20. So yeah, so the target, and only the target, hears the message and can reply in a whisper that only I can hear as well. Can go through solid objects if you are familiar with the target and know it's beyond the barrier. As long as there's not 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of metal, a thin layer of lead, or 3 foot of wood blocks, then the spell can still work.
There is wood, but I wouldn't say there's 3 foot of wood.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I'll whisper to Ellis, since he's probably like the easiest one to pin down with flame tongue above his head. I can hear a noise upstairs. Careful. I'm going to keep looking through Abba. Once you get to him on the stairs, I'll come out of the room I'm in.
I will relay the message to Anya.
Oh, you can also respond if you want, but you don't have to.
Cool. That's all you get, buddy. Yeah. So
if and Anya, what would you guys like to do?
Guess we'll go to the second floor, unless Anya wants to do something else.
So yeah, the only things of note down here are the sliver of light coming from one of the freestanding archways, and by this point you can probably see Abba sitting on the cusp of the staircase. So you're pushing upstairs?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna go that way.
Abba will jump on whoever's going up the stairs first. Just so
Cool.
that you staying with the group.
Are you going to Anya, or are you staying down here?
Stay downstairs.
Okay, cool. So Eartha, you kind of get halfway up the stairs, and then Abba kind of runs up your armor and gets to your top end, and you push on into this kind of square hallway. Kind of each side of the square is like about 30 feet, with rooms pretty much everywhere. What would you like to do?
I'll come out as well, once I see him come up the stairs, so I can see him.
Well, you're on the opposite end. You're about 60 feet away.
Alright, yeah. Okay, fine.
Because he said he was going to come out, I'm going to start slowly walking down. Like, holding my sword ready, just in case it's not him that appears.
Samara, roll a d4. Eartha, roll a d4.
It's gonna be a real question of does he recognize us? Oh, fuck. The 1.
3.
3.
So,
Okay. So Samara's here. Eartha's here. Samara's here. Samara starts walking this way, and Eartha starts walking this way. So you guys are currently missing each other and kind of chasing each other in a circle almost. So what were you doing? Samara?
When once I get to here and he's going up this way, can I see the dim light coming from like down this corridor?
Probably,
still?
yeah.
So, yeah, I'll just guess. Like, I've got a hint, but I'll just guess what message again. And I'll go, turn around, come back.
And are you doing anything, Eartha? Are you trying to perceive anything or anything like that?
Just in case there's anything there that's, alive or moving or shouldn't be there.
Cool. Make a perception check.
27.
27. You you get to near the end of that hallway. You're about to turn the corner, and you hear the message to come back. And as you kind of start back, the door right next to you, you hear like just this muffled noise from the other side of this door. And you're like, this door is right to your left, and you're about to walk past it, and you kind of just glance back at it.
I'm allowed to reply to him, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'll say 1 sec, and I'll open the door.
Cool.
I'll be also heading towards him while I said the message.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wouldn't be just stood still.
Are you like, how are you opening it? Are you quietly opening it? Or are you pushing in? Or
I'm gonna slowly open it, but trying to keep my sword in front of me, kind of a thing.
I'll say make a dexterity saving throw.
Shit. Oh, 17.
17. As you kind of push open the door, a shape from kind of the window in this room is also boarded up, so there's pretty much no light in here. So kind of the shadow cast by your sword makes this thing look bigger as it brushes past you. And as it kind of pushes past, you realize that it's Newt flying out of the room, and you manage to quickly pull out the way, avoiding some talon scratches. But yeah, Newt is kind of freaking out, having been trapped in a closed space for a period of time. But make an animal handling check.
Oh shit, that is a good roll. 24.
24.
Yeah.
You pretty quickly manage to calm Newt down. Once it realizes it's no longer trapped in that room, now you're here, you can get it out. It kind of lands on your kind of your gauntleted falconier's glove kind of clasps on, and you manage to keep it somewhat calm up here.
I will start heading towards Samara to leave the building.
Cool.
Once I meet him, when I see Newt, obviously I'll recognise that I heard 2 different sounds, and the other one might be Jade, and I'm going to turn to Ufa and go, this is stupid, but just be ready. And I'll shout, not loud enough like everyone outside the house here, but kind of shout so that everyone upstairs in the building will probably be able to hear me, and go, Jade, if you can hear me, slam on the floor. And I'll listen out for Jade slamming on the floor.
Cool. Just while this has been happening, Anya, is there anything you would have liked to done? Anything? Are you just kind of waiting at the bottom of the stairs, or would you like to do an investigation of your own or anything like that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wanted to delve in more into the downstairs of the house.
Cool. Yeah. What would you like to investigate or try and do a perception check? What do you think?
I'll do an investigation check.
Sure.
Okay, I got 14.
14. Sure. Just for, not necessarily for the video, just for the sake of this, just because I draw up all the areas you guys go to, especially the taverns, because I find them difficult to describe. Because they're kind of very samey. So just in our group chat, I'll kind of give it, now that you're making an actual investigation, I'll kind of send you a picture of the downstairs. So to the left, you can see the main entrance. To the top, you can see the bar, and you can see the tables in the middle. The two kind of the two grey triangles are these freestanding archways, and you can see the stairs that go up to the right. So on your investigation check, you see that doorway to the right of the bar, that kind of goes through into a storage room, a small space. There's nothing really in there, to your knowledge. And yeah, but as you come around that way, you can see more one of these, the grey triangle to the bottom, kind of the bottom one. You can see this thin sliver of light on the edge of the interior of the archway. Just kind of light coming through, a very thin sliver of light. It kind of looks like almost like a light coming through a doorway that's slightly open. You don't have to go near it if you want, but that's just what you notice.
Is the archway loose? Can I?
It's kind of it's kind of stone. It's kind of built into the foundations. Imagine kind of like a castle's portcullis, but on like a much smaller scale. It's just something that is a feature of this place. Are you like? You can invest. You can try and get a closer look if you want. You can go closer to it and try and get more in detail look at it, or you can. What would you like to do?
Investigate more.
Sure. Yeah, just make another investigation check. I'll say with advantage.
I got 22.
22. Yeah, so you kind of stand before this archway. Imagine, so you walk past the dormant one, and it's literally just kind of, just imagine a doorway that isn't attached to a wall, but the dormant one, you can see through the other side, you can see the wall, the kind of the corner of the building just behind it. And as you approach this other one, it appears to be active in some sense. And as you approach this thin sliver of light, you realize you can't see the doorway on the other side. And this thing is literally a door. You can see an actual door still in this archway. And the sliver of light is literally the light coming through from the other side of this doorway. It's just slightly ajar on the other side. You can try pushing the door if you like.
Yeah. Do I need to do any?
No. You reach out. If you imagine, yeah, it's just a doorway that's not attached to any walls. It's freestanding, but there is this light coming from somewhere else. You imagine this is probably one of the portals that is. This might be the portal that is disrupting Aurora's network, and you push open this kind of, it looks like something like a rural door, like a rural cottage door, and as you push it open, you see a forest on the other side, verdant green, deep green, kind of just this sea of trees. You're underneath the canopy, just a forest that stretches out for you. At this point, you hear a voice, the voice of Samara calling out to Jade. A few moments go by, you don't hear a response. Samara, you don't hear a response to your call for Jade.
I'll spend this time just opening all the doors, checking all the rooms.
Sure. While you're doing that, if I make a perception check.
Also, I'll relight my torch too.
Cool, yeah.
27.
27. You notice the mattress in the room where Newt was. You notice a lot of that room is kind of clawed up a bit. You imagine a lot of the bumping and things Samara was hearing was Newt kind of fidgeting in this room and kind of moving from place to place. So a lot of the dust is disturbed. But you do notice a much clearer line of dust that like at the side of the mattress, kind of the bottom of the bed, underneath the mattress. You notice it's still dusty, but it's a lot less dusty than everywhere else. Kind of just the side of the bed, kind of underneath where you can just see the edge of it, kind of the top of the bed, underneath the mattress, just a lot less dust there. Looks like it might have been disturbed more recently than the rest of the room.
Right. Can I look under the bed?
Sure. Under the bed or under the mattress?
Under the bed first, then under the mattress.
Cool. You kind of get down on one knee, kind of holding out flame tongue, or your flame tongue sword, and using its light to check. You don't see anything under the bed except a few bugs that scatter at the light. You kind of get back up, kind of lift yourself up again, and you lift up the mattress. And the mattress is very moldy and damp, and it's horrible to touch, even though you've got a gauntleted hand. And as you lift it up, you see a small metal key, brass or gold, kind of yellowish in color. You're not sure if it's brass or gold or copper. Just a small, regular-sized key, and kind of, I'm not sure what you'd call it. Kind of like the teeth of the key, the other end, kind of where if it was a sword, kind of where the pommel would be. There is kind of a B, like the letter B at the kind of the foot or the butt of this key. B stands for butt.
Okay. Eartha's going to put two and two together and say this is for the house.
Sure.
But he's unsure for now.
Cool. Yeah, so you have this key if you'd like to use it, or if you'd like to keep it, or if you'd like to...
Is there anywhere in this room that looks like it needs a keyhole? Or should I investigate the room for anything that looks like it needs a keyhole?
You look you see all of the room doors have keyholes. The room doors were unlocked, but the room doors have keyholes. You see a wardrobe that looks like it has a keyhole, but you try it first and it is also unlocked.
Right. I'm gonna see what Samurai's doing, and then I'll probably head downstairs to see what Anya's doing. Taking the key with me.
So while you've been doing that, Samurai, you check throughout all the bedrooms and you don't see anything of particular note.
Does Alice just show me the key, or...?
Yeah, I'll show you the key.
I'll use my daily use of detect magic and see if the key is magical in any sort of way.
Sure. You detect magic. Intensely magical.
I'm going to cast Identify on it then.
Cool. You cast Identify on this small key. It is Eartha was made a correct assumption. It is very much linked with this place you're in, Blaze House. And the magical signature you get from it is identical to the signature you get from the portals downstairs. What this key is, when you put it in a keyhole and open the door, the key is destroyed, but the doorway becomes an entrance to one of the portal archways downstairs. So from anywhere in the universe, multiverse potentially, you could come back here using one of these keys. You could come back to one of the portals downstairs by inserting this key in a keyhole, turning it and opening the door, and that doorway would lead into the downstairs of Blaze House. You get the sense that if this inn used to cater to extraplanar travelers, this is how they would access. They would maybe purchase or be given one of these keys, and they would use it to return and maybe pick up another one or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have one Blaze key.
I'll give it back to Eartha, and then I'll go downstairs. Ask obviously the two of them. Did you see out down here how dangerous?
Just while you guys have been doing that, Anya, as you're just kind of looking out into this forest. It's kind of even in a world of magic and dragons and all that. You kind of look behind the freestanding archway, and it's just the corner of the tavern. You don't see anything behind it, and that as you look into it, you see this forest stretch out before you. It still messes with your head a bit, even though you're able to cast spells and what have you. Kind of imagine, like Doctor Who. Imagine like looking into the door of the TARDIS, and you can see this extra dimensional space, but the outside is normal. It just it kind of doesn't conform to the reality that you're used to, and you kind of see this small green shape kind of flitter past the archway on the inside. It kind of flitters past the doorway. It looked like a small green person. So Eartha and Samara, you guys probably coming back downstairs at this point.
Yeah, I'll just still ask, was I'm down here, is the place safe? And then if it is, I'll go outside and get the other two and see if they want to head on in so I can inspect the place too, since they probably know what they're looking for a bit more. Especially Hilary.
Sure. So, yeah, go about that. How would you like to do that?
I'll go at the door, I'll peek my head out, trying to not expose as much as my body as I can, make sure there's no one there. I'll be in dim light at this point again, won't I? Some Ellis will be near Anya.
Yeah.
So then I'll extinguish my torch so it is dim light, and I'll go into my invisible form as an action, and I'll go up to Hilary, and I'll stand there.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were checking the place first.
What do you mean?
You said you wanted to check and make sure everything was.
I thought them two had already checked all everywhere downstairs, apart from this magic door.
Yeah. They've done a check. Yeah.
Other than the storeroom that you said was earlier.
You haven't checked the storeroom. Anya kind of gave it a quick look, but she didn't see anything. With her roll, she didn't see anything of.
I'll go in the storeroom with the torch lit, and I'll double check it just in case, because now I'm paranoid.
Okay. Just while that's happening, Eartha, make a perception check. Samara, yeah, you go in the storeroom, kind of look around. Really dense cobwebbing on the roof, but besides from that, you don't see anything in the storeroom. Some empty barrels and what have you.
Right.
36.
36. Eartha, on one of the tables, you see kind of a ring. Just a circle of it's still dusty, but again, it's a lot less dusty than the rest of the table. It's a later disturbance.
I'll pick the ring up.
No, sorry, not like an actual ring. It's like a. Imagine someone had put down a glass on a dusty table, and it had gotten less dusty, and now the glass is also gone, and the dust had kind of come in afterwards.
Oh,
So
right.
it's kind of a ring of less dust. If that makes sense.
So basically, where there's been a disturbance, there's like a ring.
Yeah.
Would I be able
like
to
a
tell?
circular.
Would I be able to tell from guessing how old that is?
Sure. Make a intelligence check.
Seven.
7. Sure.
7.
You're not too sure. It doesn't look recent, but it doesn't look 100 years old like the rest of the place.
Right. Is there anything else out of the blue in this room?
Make a perception check. Besides from the hall leading into a verdant forest.
That's normal. That's alright. 36 again.
36. You're kind of poking around the rest of the room. You go behind the bar, and you see, obviously, the front of the bar has kind of a flat wooden surface, but behind the bar, it obviously has like an interior where they put glasses and stuff. And you see a few glasses and in tankards and stuff. But you also see 2 other lace keys underneath the bar. And as you as you pick them up, and you're like, oh, nice. And you kind of go to pocket them. Just like one of your eyes glances up, and you don't look up, you don't make it obvious, you just kind of catch something, and you kind of look down again, trying to hide it. You swear on your soul of something on the roof.
Is there any mirrors or reflective surfaces in this room?
There are the tankards. They're a bit old, but you think if you maybe clean one up, you could make it reflective.
Can I attempt to sneakily do that and see if I can just take a peek at what it was without making it obvious that that's what I'm trying to do?
Sure. So you crouch down and kind of using the bar as cover, you'll try and clean one of those up. I'll say, yeah, it's not really a check. You just kind of use a bit of like your exposed clothing to kind of clean it off, and it's you know using the light of your sword. You think it's pretty reflective.
Can I make out what I saw on the roof at all?
Sure. So you kind of pretend like you're inspecting the wall behind the bar, so you can kind of turn around, and you see this purple humanoid, about similar size of you, maybe a touch small, maybe even a little bit bigger than you, just kind of stuck by its limbs to the ceiling, kind of slowly moving and watching you and Anya. Not so much Samara, because Samara's in the storeroom at the minute, but at the minute it's very much hovering over Anya. You see this shape. It's about as big as a person. Maybe a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. You can't quite tell. But you can just see it kind of crawling along the roof, observing you for now.
I get no hostile intent at the moment, do I?
I mean, it hasn't attacked you.
Can I call Anya to say, oh, come have a look at this?
Sure. So Anya, calls your name and is like, oh, come have a look at this from the other side of the room. What would you like to do? You going over?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Anya approaches. 30 seconds later, she's with you at the bar.
If
Samura's Samura's probably coming out at this point. You're quite close together.
And if I check the glass again, is he still over where Anya was, or has he moved towards us?
Make a perception check.
36. Again.
36.
Yep. Rolling 17s.
Still very much close to where Anya was, but is kind of very slowly moving towards where you are, but maybe not intending to go right over you as it was before, but you know, it's kind of moved slightly towards the three of you from where Anya was.
I'll make an intelligence check to see if I know what it is.
Sure. Make an intelligence check. Just for like size reference. I mean, put it.
No, so he's about the size of us then.
Yeah.
maybe a little bit smaller, but he's a fatty boy.
Yeah, it's kind of hunched as well. So maybe if it stood on like it's taller, it might be a touch taller.
16.
What did you get? Sorry.
16.
60. What kind of creatures do you think Eartha would know about?
Definitely dragons, probably like common beasts. You've probably had a quick look at like demons and stuff like that. Not like a huge in-depth look, but mediocre look, you know. Because obviously, being a cleric, demons and undead and fiends and all that are kind of something he's against.
You're not sure what this is.
Shit. Right.
So yeah, at this point, Anya's probably like, "Why did you call me over? Like, what am I looking at?"
You're still a little bit of a distance, right?
And Samara, you are. Well, this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet away from you.
I'm just going to turn around and just go that and point at it. Just dead calm, just that.
Yeah, so you guys kind of turn over your shoulder and you see this purple creature kind of crawling towards you along the roof. You're very much not hiding that you're pointing at it, but it doesn't appear to be doing anything. It's not attacking you. It just kind of stops in it.
Do I recognize it?
Make a intelligence check. You can do one as well.
I don't recognize it.
Is that a 1?
Anyway, it's an 8 in total, but
Might as well be a 1 then.
I've rolled a 3.
What did you get, Anya?
14.
14. Nope, you guys aren't sure. Actually, Eartha, I'll have you make one more intelligence check. Not strictly.
Unnatural 20.
Looking at this thing, looking at like its beady black eyes, its pincers, the way it's kind of walking on the ceiling without much issue, you don't think it's an urban creature. You think finding it in this place is unusual. You think it's probably come through the portal. You think it's probably some sort of monstrosity that keeps to the deep woods and has made its way through here, not really realizing where you don't get a sense of intelligence from it, or like it's not unintelligent, but it's not like you don't think it can communicate or speak language or anything like that. You get the sense this is just some sort of creature, some sort of monster that lives in the deep woods, in deep glades, and has come through this portal that has been left open, probably by someone that's used a blaze key and hasn't closed the door behind them. The door's been left open, and this creature has come through in the interim.
When I see the creature, just snap my fingers and my mage armor pops up just in case.
I am going to point at the creature and point at the door and say home, or attempt to make it think that that's the way.
Casting command?
Yes. I'm casting command on the creature and saying home.
You do have command.
Yeah, I do. I have 2 more first level spells, and command is one of those. You speak
Cool.
command word.
So
It's got to succeed in a wisdom saving throw. The spell has no effect if the target is undead, if it doesn't understand your language, or if your command is directly harmful to it.
it doesn't speak language. I give you that, so I'll say you don't have a wisdom spell slot if you don't wish to.
Does it understand my language, though?
It doesn't speak language, so if it doesn't speak language. In fact, you know what? Like dogs understand, like pointing. So I'll say it'll make the wisdom check, but also make a performance check to see if you can communicate your point by just pointing at the portal. See if you can communicate what you're trying to say. What did you get?
15.
15? Okay.
Is it going to be good enough?
That I'll say that's high enough. So he'll make a wisdom saving throw.
So my spell.
5 plus 1.
So my DC.
I assume so.
DC 16.
Yeah, it doesn't say what it gets. I was just assuming it's my spell save, which is 16, like Jackson said.
Sure. Yeah. So he got 5 plus 1, 6. So he fails. So after a few moments of you three just kind of staring at this creature on the roof, it kind of lets go of the roof with one of its arms and then with its legs. So it's kind of hanging from one of its arms, and it drops onto one of these round tables, and it's kind of just hunched staring at you. It's standing on top of one of these tables. It's like 5 feet taller than you, kind of looking down at you from 20 feet away, and it kind of looks back at the portal. And it steps on one of the stools at the side of the table, and then steps onto the floor, still looking at you, looking back at the portal. and it runs off into the forest on the other side of this portal.
Anya, use Mage Hand to close the door so that we don't have to go through.
Okay. Alright, I thought I had to roll something. No, it's fine. Yeah, I'll use Mage Hand.
Cool. Yeah. So this kind of purpley blue incorporeal hand that under Anya's control magically bursts to life and flies towards the doorway. Kind of flies through the portal just enough to grab the door handle and pull it shut. And as soon as that door kind of clicks into its hinge, the door kind of evaporates, and you can see the corner of the inn behind it. So that portal is closed or dormant.
I think we might have just beat the thing without fighting it. So as a reward for you two, you each get one of these, and I give them one of the keys that I had, because I've got 3 of them, so I'm going to each give them one. And say,
cool, yeah.
If we ever need to meet up, we'll just use these and get here. This is a very distant future. I don't expect us to get separated anytime soon. Hopefully. Good luck.
Yeah, so just to explain them again so you will catch it. So a blaze key, you put it into a keyhole, any keyhole, you turn the key, you open the door, and when you walk through, you'll see the inside of this inn on the other side. You walk through, and then when you close the door, like just happened, that doorway will vanish. So you now have a kind of a getaway to Westgate should you require it. I mean, you already had, Samura's seen the teleportation circle. Once Samura's able to teleport, you could go to that teleportation circle. But now all of you have the ability to get to this inn, even if if you're in a life or death situation, and it would be better to be 1,000 miles away than dead. Then that's also a possibility. If you had a keyhole right next to you, then yeah. So what would you guys like to do?
I'll go get Harari and bring him in, tell her what's happened, and say that might have been the magical interference, and probably just that to my understanding, obviously you know more than me, but that would probably be fixing it.
Sure, yeah. So Lalienor and Hilari will kind of do some investigation, mainly Hilari, and they conclude along the same lines that obviously they didn't get a chance to have a look at where the portal went to, but wherever it went to, not so much the portal being active, but just the energy coming from the other side was causing the disturbance. They couldn't really guess on where that was. I mean, based on your description, they can take a few guesses, but they're not entirely sure. But now that doorway has been closed, and Lalienor should be able to use the teleportation circle at Aurora's without much issue now.
Nice.
So yeah, what would you guys like to do? Is there anything you'd like to talk to? If there's nothing you'd like to talk to Aurora or Hilari about, they'll kind of thank you. Lilienor will chuck you guys kind of like 20 gold pieces for the effort, and kind of wish you good night. If there's anything else you'd like to do, you can try and pull them up.
Nothing else for them, but we do need to find somewhere to sleep.
We're still need to find Jade as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably not happening tonight.
Fair. Actually, before they go,
you kind of?
I want to ask them where the nearest place to stay would be. It's still open.
There's not really anywhere nice to stay in Westgate, but there's a few seedy. But I mean, you guys can stay at my place if you want. It's a bit cramped. I only have 2 beds, but you guys can make it work. I have a couch and I have a floor. You can stay at my place if you like. It's free, but there are some seedier places you can get a room.
Certainly have to see what they want to do.
I'll turn to Anya and see what she wants to do.
Yeah, I think it's better to stay with. Was it Hilary or Lelianor that was offering the place?
Lelianor.
Lelianor. Yeah, I think it's better to stay there.
Sure. So you guys walk back towards Aurora's Emporium, and make an intelligence check. All three of you make an intelligence check.
11.
11. 9, and Anya?
7.
Oh no.
7. Eartha, it only occurs to you as she's kind of getting a key ready to open the door. Aurora's Emporium only has one floor. It's just a bottom floor, so you don't know where her apartment is.
Oh. Huh. Right, okay.
Yeah. And she opens the door, and she kind of brushes the night air off herself and kind of gets you guys in, make sure you're all in. In fact, she'll go to close the door, and she's like, I'm sure your horse will be fine with the stable. We can pay it's over. That's him. And she closes the door behind you guys and locks the door. And yeah, she leads you guys around the back of the shop counter and towards the teleportation circle. And she kind of takes off her necklace and she says, have you guys ever been to Waterdeep before? And she kind of wraps it around her hand and kind of holds it in as the teleportation circle comes to life. And she's like, it's nice. Well, it's raining though, so you guys have a coat.
From.
And we'll end the session there.